So, today we're going to be checking out the Roland RD2000EX. It's a little bit of a stretch from the classic synthesizers you've been watching, but if you're a touring person, then this might be right up your alley. We're going to check it out. Hello, I'm Roland Perez. This is Alamo Music Center, downtown San Antonio, Texas. Check out our website, of course. It's alamomusic.com. Hop on the YouTube channel, Alamo Music Sound Lab. Subscribe because we've got a lot of great videos on the way. Classic synthesizers, modern synthesizers, samplers, sequencers, all kinds of good stuff coming up. So stay tuned and check it out and make sure to subscribe. Well, today we're going to be talking about the Roland RD2000EX. As you probably already know, the RD2000 series has been out for many years now. It's become a favorite stage piano for a lot of musicians, and that's for a lot of reasons. Well, they've added the EX because they put two fantastic expansion packs in it that I think are extremely valuable to people who really enjoy an awesome piano. So let's start with some of the basics. First off, we've got an 88 key weighted key bed, which feels really fantastic. I'm pretty picky when it concerns 88 key keybeds. Some I find pretty clunky, pretty heavy, pretty light. To me, this one's just right. It really, really feels good. And it's got a little bit of that V piano action to it, so I think they've kind of inherited that keybed or some of the characteristics of that keybed into this RD2000EX. So right off the bat, we've got an awesome keybed. We've got a metal chassis, so if you're worried about taking this on the road, don't, because it's pretty stout, it's pretty robust, it's really well built. I don't foresee it having any issues with transporting back and forth, aside from the weight, because it is a heavy keyboard. But beyond all that, it's kind of tried and true for the long haul. You've got some modifiers on the top left panel here, so you can have several different layers of what these knobs can do. Some of the more typical ones would be, cutoff, resonance, attack, release. Click on another section for equalization, delay and revert augmentation real time on the knobs. So if you're the kind of person that's doing a live set and you want to tweak a couple things real time, these will come in handy. You do have several of them, and again, multiple layers of what they can do. Over here, we've got sliders that represent a couple of different things. If you're on an organ patch, these could represent the drawbars, which is really cool. They can also set up for volume. So if you have dual layers or splits, each one of these can represent the volume of that layer or of that patch. So again, real-time modification, super cool. A really cool display that shows you all the data that you need to see. And it's pretty well lit, so if you're in a club situation, there's not a lot of lighting going on, it's still pretty easy to see the screen and get to where you need to get. You've got your navigation system right over here to go in between presets via the data wheel or the increase-decrease. You also have some arrow keys that kind of toggle between different things on the menu when you pop up a menu on the main screen. Super cool there. And of course, we've got our preset banks right over here. They're kind of set up into categories. You've got your acoustic pianos, electric pianos, clavinets, organs, strings, pad choir, bass, and others. That's kind of vague, but we'll hear more about that later on down the line. You do have your bank up and down, which is kind of cool. So again, real time, when you're doing stuff in a gig or even in a studio situation, it's really easy to get to where you need to get to on this keyboard. They did not overload it with a whole bunch of junk that's not necessary. It's kind of like just the meat and potatoes of what you need to achieve. And I think they really kind of planned the layout extremely well. So let's talk about what the EX means in this RD2000EX. Those are specifically for the expansion packs that they've loaded into this model that are not on the previous model. They include one of the Steinway Grand expansions. So that's pretty awesome because there's several presets with that expansion. And I tried it out just a while ago. I'm in love with it. It's fantastic. You can still get in here and edit the tone or the caliber or the response of that piano, so that's pretty cool. The other expansion pack is an upright expansion pack, which is pretty fantastic because you've got a lot of different models from different uprights. Won't name any names, but a lot of the most famous ones that you've heard of in studio and stage are in this expansion pack. It's super cool. Beyond all that, the rest of it is just like an RD-2000. And you might be thinking, well, I already have an RD-2000. What do they do now? Yeah, I hear you there. I don't like it when manufacturers basically put out the same keyboard and not have an upgrade path. No worries. If you have an RD-2000, you can still upgrade to the EX model with those expansion packs. It's a paid feature on the Roland website, but it's really well worth it if you do have the RD-2000. If you don't have an RD-2000 and you're interested in this, then the EX makes sense because it's everything kind of done in one shot. There's no work involved, it's already there. More about some of the extra sounds. You know, you walk into any pro stage, you'll see typically a Nord stage on stage, and you know, for a lot of good reasons. It's got a multitude of really awesome sounds, right? Well, this is no slouch whatsoever either. It's got tons of synthesizer patches, both leads, pads. It's got tons of brass stuff, synthy brass and orchestral brass, so lots of great stuff there. The strings are really, really fantastic. So if you're the kind of person that likes to layer strings together, like a couple different string patches to make a really lush thing, totally possible with this keyboard. If you want to layer a Rhodes or a piano or a CP70 with strings, totally possible. All that stuff is in here. We'll play some of those sounds later on down the line so you can get a feel of more of what it does. Beyond all that, there's not much else to talk about aside from the back panel. So on the back panel, you've got some pro stuff as well, right? You've got XLR outputs so that you don't need a DI when you're on stage. That's really cool. And the DIs, or the D to A conversion on here is really good, by the way. I'm a stickler for the sound coming out of a digital engine, right? And I think Roland really did justice to the conversion system on this. It sounds really rich, really robust, really clean, just fantastic all the way around. And you still get good sound going through the 1/4-inch jacks as well, but it is different going through the XLR. So when at all possible, use XLR. It's just better. You've got 4 different pedal jacks on the back, one for your dampers, of course, and you've got 3 others that are totally assignable. For example, volume or cutoff. You can put resonance or reverb, all totally configurable inside the keyboard itself. MIDI in, out, and through in the back panel. You've got 2 USB ports. You've got 1 standard that'll go to a laptop or an iPad. And you've got a memory stick port for, you know, if you want to load in your own data or your own sounds, your custom sounds. You could totally do that and store it on a little USB thumb drive and click it right in. There is also a different port on the back. There's a USB on this side, and that says USB for update. So, you know, I guess specifically that port should only be used for that. If you're hooking up a thumb drive, be very careful. Who knows what's going to happen if you put it in the wrong port. So, but again, read the manual if you have to. In any case, awesome keyboard, awesome build quality, love the action, just fantastic all the way around. I love the RD2000EX. So we've talked about it. How about listening to it? As always, I hope you've enjoyed checking out this keyboard. The RD-2000EX for me is a lot of great things, all wrapped up into one solid chassis. Really cool keyboard, love the way it sounds, hope you did as well. Make sure to check us out online at almamusic.com and click on that YouTube channel, Alma Music Sound Lab. Subscribe because once again, we've got a lot of great stuff coming up in the future. Once again, thank you for watching. I'm Roland RD2000EX. Have a great one.